Solo, nothing but solo. We're talking about Solo here with you. Welcome back to Star Wars News Net's The Resistance Broadcast. My name is John Hoey, and the Solo teaser / trailer, whatever the hell you want to call it, it is out, finally. We are here to give you our full analysis and breakdown of this thing, as we've all seen it more times than Han Solo has swindled. This is the second episode we've put out this week, and get used to it, as we have officially announced that going forward you'll be getting 2 Resistance Broadcast episodes every week. Woo!
Deuce.
Yes.
Deuce episodes.
Very excited.
Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube, and go to tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast and pick up a shirt, sticker, mug, whatever, so we can keep providing you with 2 episodes of free content every week, and we truly appreciate the support. Patric Covey is off in our question vault, gathering your questions for later in the episode, but joining me now are James Baney and Bill Sheehy. What's up, fellas?
I want to be a podcaster. Best in the galaxy.
I'm excited to talk about the music in this movie, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's dope.
I didn't know Hans Zimmer did the score for Solo. I guess he did. It sounded like Man of Steel to me. I don't know why. But yeah, we're going to get into the trailer talk in just a moment. But first, last week we posted a poll, and we asked you, who will be the big winner this Sunday? #Super Bowl. And you said 15% Eagles, 16% Patriots, and 69% Solo, a Star Wars story. So congratulations, you guys win. You were correct. Solo,
the real winner.
Solo definitely won. And Solo won on Monday as well. Our best comments went to Wayne Hansen at WayneH70, who said, "Isn't Super Bowl that big long commercial they put around the Solo trailer?" Yes, it is, Wayne. Yes,
100%. 100%.
Thank you for the comment. And now it's time to finally talk about this trailer teaser. We've been waiting forever to talk about this thing. So, James, do the honors. Let's fire up the special edition of Newsnet.
All right, guys, this week we kind of segmented the news to push it to the later episode on Thursday because everybody knew this was coming, right? It was leaked. It was kind of out there. The vibe was there. We all knew there was going to be a teaser coming on Sunday and then a full trailer on Monday, which is what we got. So we didn't want to release an episode without, we wanted to release one as soon as we could. So let's first tackle the 45-second Super Bowl teaser that we got,
right on.
Which had a lot of clips that we didn't actually get in the full trailer. So, John, what was the first thing we saw? What was your feeling when this first came on the Super Bowl?
Tonally, it reminded me of Rogue One in terms of its darkness, and the music was kind of strange. The first thing I thought of was Hans Zimmer. Like Man of Steel type of sound, which was odd, as I just mentioned. But this guy talking to Han like he's kind of recruiting for the Empire, like that's an angle we've never really seen before. So that kind of threw me in a new direction, like, oh, here we're going with this thing now. This guy's asking what branch he wants to enlist in. Like he's recruiting for the military. Definitely a different angle than we're the bad guys and we're gonna, So that stood out to me. I don't know about you guys. It
almost makes it look like the Empire's giving people opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll pay for your tuition, and but that shot of, and this was like the case with Rogue One when they show the dish closing on into the Death Star, and you see that Star Destroyer. Like anytime they show Star Destroyers now in these movies, the imagery is unbelievable.
I honestly don't think that they could have done a cooler shot in that trailer. In the Super Bowl one, with the thunder and lightning with the Star Destroyer in the background. That was by far, like, I actually didn't get to see, like, it live because my girlfriend, who I love very, very much, was running late into our Super Bowl party, so I missed it. Had to watch it on my phone. But anyway, that's not here or there. Seeing that, I was like, oh, this is so different than anything that I've ever seen before in Star Wars. And while I kind of understand, like, why you have that kind of Rogue One style-ish to it, I think that it's doing something a little bit different, and I'm really excited to just see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, like, because I love this, but like I feel like everybody's really impressed with that Star Destroyer shot, and it was not a takeaway shot for me. I was like,
really?
I was like, ooh, that's kind of weird. Why is there like why is he in like a circle? Like it felt like he was in like a tunnel or something, and I think that was distracting to me. I like the idea of it being in like a storm cloud, and I definitely like the shot after it where it shows like the new TIE fighters coming out of the bottom and stuff, like in the clouds and the mist, and I definitely think that's cool. And the lightning is cool too. Just something about like, I don't know, is it in like a vortex? That's what people are kind of saying. It's in like a vortex or something.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know, like the eye of a tornado or something.
Or a black hole or something like that. I mean, I kind of think it may just be a different kind of version of hyperspace. Maybe they're in like a hyperspace lane. I mean,
I wouldn't think so, because ships are like leaving from there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they're in the clouds, man. They're in the clouds.
True.
Yeah. But then we see, shots, some like quick little Easter eggs. Like we see Han with his gloves changing a gear, and it turns out he's in that speeder that leaked a long time ago. It looks like a little hot rod, and he's there with Emilia Clarke's character. And then it bounces through. You see shots of her. This is more of a couple shots here and there type of teaser. We see that weird train-looking thing slinking along through the mountains. Mm-hmm. We see Beckett. We see that new club, which is going to be the new staple, I guess, of some kind of musical performance in Star Wars at that chic, weird, odd club. Mm-hmm. And we see a fight on top of it.
Singer looks really cool too.
Yeah. Personally, hope they sing Jabba Rock.
Yeah, hopefully not. Then we see a fight that's happening on top of a train between what appears to be our big baddie and looks like there might be Beckett up there. Mm-hmm. So he may not make it out of this one alive. And then, of course, we get some Lando action, and he was pretty mute, but we'll get into that later. And then we have this guy saying your name, and it just shows Han behind what looks like some kind of bars or cellar.
Locker or something like that.
Locker. Yeah. He got stuffed in the locker, and that's why he's such a scoundrel now. But yeah, that was the gist of the Super Bowl clip. Any other takeaways from the Super Bowl clip, guys?
Donald Glover in that fur coat.
Yeah, I hope it's not Wookiee.
It's an iconic shot, and I honestly it would not surprise me at all if for his next album with as Childish Gambino, that was the cover, because it's perfect. I mean, that may be just Donald behind the scenes on set. So I really enjoyed that.
I think that generally the tone from the teaser is you get a good Rogue One feel at the beginning, and then about midway through when the train starts, and then you see Beckett and you see the club and all that, you definitely get this new fresh vibe with special effects, and the lighting just looks a lot different than what we normally get in saga films, and then even what we normally got. This almost felt like a perfect mix between prequels and the original trilogy. It just felt like it fit right in there with sleek meets kind of that dirty rundown. I don't know. I mean, I think that the place looks like it's high class, but at the same time, the only lights in the room are the windows, it seems. Right. You know what I mean? So you kind of have this they're not, it's low power kind of a feel. But the stuff on the train felt very, I don't know.
Old westerny kind of?
Well, no, actually I was going to say very new film. I almost hesitate to say young adult. It kind of felt like Maze Runner, or even kind of a Final Fantasy vibe, where it's just Final Fantasy 15 or something, that's the vibe that I got out of that, which is welcome. But I think those are my main takeaways, is that it kind of changed from Rogue One to kind of a something new to something really new.
Yeah, and what surprised me most was just that it looked a lot darker and more noir than I anticipated. And that includes the music that they chose for it, which I don't think is going to be a part of the score necessarily. It could have just been trailer music.
It was very different. Even for Star Wars, it was very kind of futuristic-y, not... you said, kind of a little bit like you said with Hans Zimmer. But
it was like Man of Steel on Krypton. You ever see that?
And it felt, I could be completely out of line here, but it sounded a little not super techno, but you could feel the hints of futuristic kind of techno-y beats into it.
I think this is a good crossover into the full teaser that we got, because the music was consistent across. To me, though, this doesn't sound like it, But I saw people hinting today that good old John Williams was writing the theme for Solo.
No,
I doubt it.
You don't think
I bet that's not even done yet, and they're probably going to hit that if they even at all put it in the full trailer. They may just wait till the movie, I think.
Okay. I had a debate with my friend because he said that he was writing not the theme for the movie, but Han Solo's theme. And we looked it up. We referenced Star Wars Newsnet's the article that was written about it. And in one segment, it said that he was writing the theme for Solo, a Star Wars story, which means it's the theme for the movie, not necessarily a theme for Han himself. Then later, when it quoted John Williams, he said, I'm writing the theme for Han Solo, which still could be implied that he's talking about the movie. Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, I don't really know if he's writing a single specific song for Han
it's like,
that isn't necessarily the theme for the movie, or if he's writing the theme for the movie. Either way, I don't necessarily think it points to this song, but if that's it, I don't know. That's kind of a different sound for John.
And I think if he is writing the theme for just the character Han Solo and not the movie, I think people are going to associate it with the movie anyway, because, I mean, where else is it going to be besides that movie alone? So
it could be. Yeah.
And like with Rogue One, it had its theme, like whatever the main titles was, right? I think he's going to write a theme for Han Solo, but because the movie is Solo, it's going to be also the main title, song. So I think it's going to be one and the same. But I don't think we've heard it yet. I don't think that was John Williams. But yeah, so let's hop into the actual trailer that popped on Monday. And first shots, we have like a cadence. He's clicking switches in the Falcon and firing that thing up. Do you think that's like that's going to be the scene of him first hopping in that thing, or what do you think?
Just for the scene alone, I'm not 100% sure if that's like him first in the Falcon, but as a introduction to the first full teaser for it, for the Solo movie, I love it because you automatically get, like you said, that cadence, and it kind of gives it leads into it further down the trailer, where we have kind of the same thing with the clicks with Lando and everything. I thought the trailer itself was just really, really cool, and I really, really dug the vibe just immediately right off the bat. And it just, I feel like we're getting a little taste, a little history lesson, kind of. We know a little bit about some of his legends, upbringing and start, and we're getting hints of that. But I don't think, I think they're going to tweak it a little bit. And I love that we're getting the first kind of taste of his early life in the first couple of minutes.
I don't think those clicks are the first time he sits in the Falcon, because I feel like you're like, all right, I mean, I know he's a good pilot. Like Rey just runs in and starts flipping switches and stuff, but I think he would kind of have to get familiar with something. And this looks like he's in a rhythm. He knows exactly what he needs to do. And I actually feel like this is probably more likely the first time they get in the Falcon before the third act. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Before they go fight the big bad or they go on that final mission, they're just in that state of mind. But I do like the cadence. I like the way they edited that.
And then we get the voiceover starts, and we hear a voice. It's Han Solo, but it's clearly not Harrison Ford. It's definitely a different voice that we're hearing, which is understandable.
And he says, "I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old."
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Excuse me. No, it says, and I quote, "I've been running scams since I was 10 years, or since I was 10. Running scams on the street since I was 10.
No, if you're going to quote it,
that was a quote. Right. Hold on, I've got it written right here on a piece of paper.
I've been running scams on the streets since I was 10. End quote.
Thank you.
One take, Sheehy, everybody.
Awesome. Great.
So
Good to be here.
We have Han back again in that speeder, and he's with this character, Kira, played by Emilia Clarke. And he's got the dice hanging from his quote-unquote mirror, or whatever they call that in Star Wars on speeders. But the dice are there. So, I mean, I'm guessing this is earlier on in the film, and they kind of know each other, and this looks like they're obviously escaping some kind of Imperial compound. But now we know he's had these dice for a while. It's not like he used them in that game just to win the Falcon. These are his dice.
Right.
And he may bring them to the table to win the Falcon. And I wonder if they're like rigged dice or something to help him win a game. That'd be an interesting twist.
That'd be the most Han Solo thing ever. So I wouldn't put it past him.
The ultimate swindle.
There's no one left in the galaxy for you to swindle. Thanks, Mark Ellis.
What do you guys think about this chase scene?
We've always assumed that when like Han was talking about he's the best pilot in the galaxy, we always just assumed it was like starships. But now that we're kind of getting like and this is a bad example, but we're getting kind of a Fast and Furious-y vibe to where he's kind of driving a speeder, I guess. So
here's a better example for you, Bill. The beginning of 2009's Star Trek, where we first met Captain Kirk as he was a younger kid.
Right.
He steals the car and he's just like Fast and Furious down the road, and people are chasing him and stuff like that.
Do we have to talk about Star Trek?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that's supposed
James,
to be
everybody. That was James. Unfollow.
It was James Tiberius Kirk.
Oh my god.
But no, I think that's a good example because what they're doing there is they're saying, hey, look, this is the same person later in life. We're just showing you that he still was that person when he was younger.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Now, my guess is that they're together. They do this escape for whatever reason, and he's not going to see her till like years later when they flash forward. Because later in the trailer, and we'll get to that, she looks not so much we're in a speeder and I'm a kind of a common person. She turns into she looks like elegant and more of a dignified person. So it's like their paths must have been right here on the same pathway, and then they just went in two different directions.
He hooked up with her and then ditched her, and now when they meet later in life, there's already this like built up don't really trust each other tension.
Yeah.
Could be. That would be, yeah, I mean, he is quite the swindler, as we know. And then the voiceover continues, and he says, I was kicked out of the flight academy for having a mind of my own. And that's a little too on the nose for me. That line didn't really hit with me. I didn't like it.
The delivery itself, yes, but I think that line itself, having a mind of my own, I think that, and this may be obvious, he's implying about how he freed Chewie, and that's kind of how like he got kicked out of the academy because he freed Chewie and just went away. Yeah, having your mind of your own, not wanting to enslave an entire race is probably.
It's like I need to remind the audience that I'm a rebel and I do my own. I only take answers from one person, me. It's like, all right.
Yeah, I kind of took it actually. I actually kind of took it like they were implying that the Imperial establishment kind of forces you to all like think the same way, kind of a thing. And I guess that is juxtaposition to him saying, and I don't roll with that. So it is kind of establishing his character. But when I actually heard the line, I was like, that is something that the Imperials would do. They would kick out someone who doesn't fall in line.
Yeah, I just couldn't picture Han saying that. Like, I got kicked out of the flight academy for having a mind of my own. Okay. And then he says, I'm going to be a pilot. The best in the galaxy. And it's like, okay. Yeah, right.
And the trailer itself, the lines in it may not be like verbatim from the movie. So like it may be a thing where it was just like, because Mark Hamill's done that with different trailers for The Force Awakens.
I'm just picturing
The
Han
Last
Solo
Jedi.
like walking up to somebody and be like, I'm going to be a pilot.
And nobody going to stop me.
Okay, buddy.
I mean, he was asked, what he's interested in doing.
I know. It's just, maybe it's trailer placement. Those two lines didn't gel with me, and that's okay. That's okay. I like the trailer. I just didn't like that part. Okay. So then we see him kind of like doing his like look out over a mountainous landscape, which almost reminded me of Starkiller Base. Like it was odd.
A little bit, yeah.
Like that snowy mountainous like landscape, and I know it's. Imagine it is that planet. That'd be kind of interesting.
Reminded
before
me
it gets
of
turned into a weapon.
Batman v Superman. Him standing on top of the mountain like that.
Yep.
It's the same like color palette and stuff.
Yep, and similar music because it sounded like Hans Zimmer.
I'm like, just based on like those first couple of shots and what we get later on in the trailer, I'm really excited to see how they shot this, because just the couple of things that we've seen have been some of the most visually stunning like shots that I've seen in Star Wars ever. And it's the same guy who did Arrival, which is a fantastic movie and a beautifully shot movie. So, I mean, if that's what we're getting from the trailer, imagine what we're going to get when the movie comes out in May.
Oh, yes. Now, then we go right to the Falcon hallway. And at first I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh,
that's the Falcon. Yeah.
yeah, like someone went in there with bleach and cleaned that puppy up, right? Like what happened there?
Which is a good transition because it actually is the exact same color palette as we were just looking at. It's almost like here's this thing on one side of the galaxy. It's black and it's white and the highlights are blue. And then you go into this other look and then you see this other thing that is, black and white and the highlights are blue. And it's like it's on the other side of the galaxy. And these two things are meant to meet each other.
Right. Now, James, I wanted to talk to you about this because before we started recording, you had brought up that you had that book. We're trying to figure out how old the Falcon is, and if this scene takes place in the era of this movie, we're only 10 years removed from A New Hope, and this thing looks like it just rolled off the YT assembly line in Corellia.
So in a previous episode, I mentioned how a coworker of mine as a gift gave me a Incredibuilds, which is a way to put together the Millennium Falcon. And inside of it, it had Star Wars Millennium Falcon inside the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. And it was just kind of a breakdown. It's actually like 30 pages of information on the Falcon and where it's been and how fast it goes and, what every button on the cockpit does. So they really went into details and stuff. One of the first lines in the introduction is, there are legendary starships and then there's the Millennium Falcon. For over 9 decades, this YT-1300 freighter has sailed across the stars, doing so much more than just hauling cargo.
Okay, so now, and we figured out that Han probably had the Falcon for around 40 years.
And here's the thing. I don't necessarily think that that's 100% accurate, and I think, like we've talked about a little bit before, I think they're going to do a little bit of retconning, especially with people who have been asking about the Falcon in Revenge of the Sith, if that's the same Falcon or if it's just an Easter egg. So I'm more inclined to believe that it's... once again, I don't fully know, but I don't think 90 years is a long time for a ship. And even though we're in a galaxy far, far away, I mean, you've got to... wear and tear happens eventually.
Yeah, we don't know what basis, like, there could be 500-year-old ships in Star Wars. Like, we don't know.
Yeah,
I'm torn on this because I know that there's, like, this weird, like, semi-precedent thing where, like, the movies come first. But, like, I don't know. I don't see them being like, oh, we've already reported multiple times that this is a very old ship. And then we're just going to change it. I don't
think they would either. Yeah.
I think something's up. I think there's something we're not getting. And I know that the marketing has been very clear that this is the Millennium Falcon, or this is the Falcon.
On StarWars.com,
maybe it's not
they
the
use
Millennium
this shot.
Falcon.
Oh, it's another Falcon?
I don't know. Maybe it's the Infinity Falcon or something. Yeah.
StarWars.com said one of the editors who went through shots of this has this picture and says it's the Millennium Falcon. So I mean, if StarWars.com has it on there, it has to be pretty legit. So I did kind of, not really jokingly, but tongue-in-cheek said, we're going to assume this is the Falcon. It could be a sister ship or, something like that, because I didn't know for sure if it was or not. So I wasn't about to say, like, this is 100% the Millennium Falcon, and then people in comments in 2 months being like, you were an idiot.
Yeah.
But we know that this is the Falcon, so we just got to wonder if it's a flashback of it being new and how that ties in. Because flashbacks now, guys, like, make Star Wars so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Especially with trailers. Absolutely. They can do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
The door has been kicked wide open now. So it's, and that's cool with me. I'm fine with that. But the next shot is my favorite of the trailer because it's Han for the first time, I'm assuming, looking up and seeing the cockpit of this thing and knowing how Larry Kasdan writes and whatever score they're going to apply there. I assume they'll put that John Williams theme right there. That new solo theme right there. I know if they nail it and get it right, it's going to be a powerful, powerful moment that's going to really accentuate how we see Han's relationship with that ship in the future, like in Return of the Jedi, when he's like, not a scratch. That's going to mean so much more after this movie.
I do. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really cool shot, and I like that he's seeing it in, like, the smoke and everything. I think it makes the ship mysterious from, like, a cinematography standpoint. Not really sure if you get the full picture, kind of a thing. Again, like I think that is one of the things that makes it like the most intriguing shots is the fact that he's kind of silhouetted, and we actually see him silhouetted a lot in this teaser trailer. What's up next? All this sand. Are we on Tatooine again?
Yeah. So yeah, we should be, right?
Oh no, wait. There's water there, and I know there's no Tatooine. There's no water on Tatooine unless you farm
it. Oh yeah, that's true. I believe I saw a shirt that says that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, you remember last year, every week I felt like we were talking about Fuerteventura and the shoots on Fuerteventura. So that's obviously where this is happening, and it looks like it's going to be Kira, who's played by Emilia Clarke, and Han going to meet Tobias Beckett. And we see Woody Harrelson there with his kingpin, crazy, wild, balding hair or whatever. And he says, "Hey, kid, I'm putting together a crew. Are you in?" And I pointed out that I know it's not that big of a vernacular choice, but I wonder if that's why Hans would call Luke kid, because that guy, his mentor, called him kid.
It's one of those things, like, you got to think it's intentional, and if it's not, like, what a cool coincidence that a fan is going to point out, and say that, look how it all ties together, and the filmmakers are kicking back going like, oh shoot, that's so sweet, I didn't even notice. But like, to me it calls to Harrelson's casting in the first place, because it didn't stand out to me as like, oh, they're calling him kid. It stood out to me as, yep, that's Woody Harrelson. He would say that.
Yeah, that's true.
He would treat him like a kid,
Now, he says of putting together a crew, and then it has that montage moment where you start seeing all these characters, and this is what I was talking about. You see Kira now, and she's followed by a droid that's confirmed to be called L337, which is going to be mocap played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she looks like a dignitary or something. It's like she has a cape, and she's more refined looking than she was
she looks like a queen of dragons or something.
She looks like she's a queen of freighters or something. True. Yeah. So, because it looks like she's walking off the Falcon there. So I'm not sure what that's about. And then you see Donald Glover, and he's just kind of sitting at what we assume is going to be that card table game. And he just pops a smile. And when I saw that, I was like, that is Lando Calrissian, man.
Yeah, for sure.
When he was first cast, I had a couple reservations. But after just seeing the pictures and seeing him in this, 100% sold. I think that he is Lando Calrissian, and I'm so excited to see him.
I have been the backer of Donald Glover playing Lando Calrissian as inspired casting. It is kind of funny, though, when I actually saw him in live action, I had this thought that when I hear him speak, I know he's going to speak like Donald Glover. And then I'm like, is that Lando? And I kind of had this, like, Lando has this accent, kind of.
Well,
and he didn't even say anything, and it made me feel unsure. And I was like, I don't know what it was, like everything leading up to this point, but I think he looks great, and I think he's going to embody the character. I'm actually specifically for the first time seeing him move, I thought, I expected his voice. And when I hear his voice, I'm thinking that's going to be Donald Glover, and it's not going to be, well, you know what I mean? And that's like, even a younger Lando is going to have that.
Here's the thing, and I've talked a little bit about it on Twitter today, because people were giving a similar complaint about Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo and not sounding like Harrison Ford. If Donald and Alden, if they completely nail the essence, the who Han and Lando are, the voice isn't going to really bother me all that much. It may be a little weird at first, and I completely acknowledge that. But like you said, that smile right there that we're looking at, and even when he was in a fur coat, that's Lando. And at the end of the day, if they can convey that as who they are as characters, that is a minor nitpick.
That's it, Lando.
Yeah,
Lando. Two things. One, I think he's going to be the takeaway from this movie. Like, he's going to shine.
I agree.
I feel like he's going to steal the show every scene he's in. Not just because of his reputation and how talented he is. I'm not taking anything away from the rest of the cast, because it's a pretty stacked cast in terms of talent. But I just feel it. There's something going on here with this guy. He's gonna nail it. But I do hope, and I tweeted about this jokingly, but I'm serious. I hope he pronounces his name Han, because Lando said Han. He never said Han. So you got to come on. I'm not all of a sudden gonna be like Baney. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I've always said James, so I'm gonna say James. Like, you gotta say Han. I hope he says Han. Or I'm boycotting. I'm gonna hit this thing on Rotten Tomatoes hard.
So as we're still going through the list of the crew, up next here we have Sana Solo.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Right on.
Yeah, actually, it was confirmed it's Val, which
Val.
I believe it's
Val
confirmed
Trichkov.
that they named it after our editor-in-chief Val Trichkov.
That's right.
So I told him that today. He's like, yeah, that's probably true. But he's kidding, obviously. But yeah, we have this character named Val, and we don't know much about her, but her name is Val.
She looks like a sniper.
The true star of this trailer by far is the little monkey creature that was in the
Is it
turret.
a monkey?
I think it's a
It
new
looks like a
space
monkey for sure. Yeah.
like
kinda
kind of an
does look like this
orangutan, kind of
yeah.
like four
Like baby
four-armed
orangutan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which I imagine it's going to have a
Biston's
New York
cousin.
accent and curse a lot, which I'm 100% okay with.
It's gonna take a page out of George Lucas's book and just have a random, like Earth accent. Just like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
we'll make this person sound like they're from Alabama, and then
He was a
there
wise
we go.
guy.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
I mean, and you
funny,
have
I'm
to
funny
do
out.
that because, like, you have to make people have accents. But if you imitate any accent, it's gonna sound like a human accent. So, I mean, Maz Kanata has a accent. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, like Southern Jamaican or something.
And some people, like, when they first saw this, were like, "Is that Maz Kanata?" You know, because it's quick.
There's
and you
no
see-
way.
yeah.
No, of course. No, I'm saying some people when they first saw it were like, "Is that Maz Kanata? Oh my god!" But maybe it's her cousin or something. Who knows?
How
but then,
sweet if
Ms.
Maz
Kanata.
showed up in this, though, even just for a split second, it would be really cool.
So James, you I know you shared my article in the breakdown today because you appeared in the article. So you wanted to.
No, I shared the article simply because you pointed out the reference of him saying "kid" to someone on Twitter, and or they
I like
pointed it out to us, and then we replied, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, John always catches like the best stuff, like the littlest
No,
stuff,
no,
and then sure enough, you turned around and put in one of my catches in the article.
Yeah, and so take us here because this is a long time ago. You see, it's Chris Miller there in the shots. How old that picture is. So, what was your tweet about?
So we have this shot where he's silhouetted and he's looking over what I would imagine to be the Sabacc game or like.
And this
game
is
of
Han.
cards.
Yeah, this is
yeah,
Han.
this is Han. Yeah, he's silhouetted looking over from the background just to kind of maybe get. This is probably actually his our first introduction to Lando in the movie. Han's gonna walk in. He's gonna get a feel for what kind of a person he is. Maybe he gets caught cheating and then they bust out of there together or something. But as he's standing over the edge, I noticed that one of the players sitting around the table had what appeared to be three eyes coming out of his head, and it rung a bell with me because we've gotten pictures of what Ron Howard has tweeted, and we've gotten leaks, but the only real thing we've seen that was official was from the Omaze charity that Warwick Davis did.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
A while ago, where
Was it
he
the Force
kind
for
of
Change or whatever?
no, it was for. Oh yeah, I guess yeah. Force for Change Omaze is the program,
Right.
and he pops into directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and they jokingly say, the audience needs to see something, and they pan it over really quick just to show one quick image of an alien, and I think it's the same alien. I put a side by side next to it, but that kind of when I get a closer look of him in the other video, the Omaze one, he actually looks like he would be in that group. He's kind of a scruffy looking alien, someone that would show up maybe in a cantina or something like that.
It matches up. It looks like
Yeah.
it matches up because it's three eyes on each side.
Yeah.
So good catch. And then we see Chewie, and he has two bandoliers.
Which is awesome, I think.
Because
He's
two
got the-
bandoliers
yeah,
are always better than one.
Yeah,
That's
he's got
the
the
old
cross-
Wookiee saying.
The cross bandoliers, and we see Han translating for Chewie for Beckett, which was kind of cool. He kind of saying, that
yes.
means yes. So now every time we hear Chewie make that exact sound in the future, we know he's saying yes. And then we have Lando with that droid,
L337. That was
the L337 in the
There's-
cockpit. And
there's a little bit of
something-
history there. There's something there.
There's a camaraderie there because they do their little hand signal as they're about to make the jump to hyperspace or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny. I agree with you 100%, but I was thinking, what else could that possibly mean? I'm like, maybe the robot is annoyingly like I don't know, like connecting with him or predicting his movements or something. But it seemed too friendly for it to be not like some sort of mimic or some sort of like, I don't know, maybe he says like, hey, you need to be my co-pilot, and he's like, I don't know how to fly, and they're like, just put yourself in mimic mode. So they sit down and he's like doing the same thing as Han or not Han, Lando. I don't know. I was trying to think of
if it's Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and if they give the droid a gender.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they give the droid a gender, because I think we've always kind of referred to C-3PO and R2-D2 and BB-8 as he's. But is there? I mean, there are female droids, I know, but like.
TC-14 sounded like a girl.
Like, are they considered female droids? Or are they considered droids that look female? And no droids really have, gender.
I don't know. Let's not get ourselves in trouble.
Yeah. All right.
But this is probably the K2SO of this movie, though. Like, it's a sentient, like not sentient, but it talks like kind of like a protocol droid would. But
comic
she's
relief.
more of an active, not a wimp like C-3PO. But the Falcon, every shot of the Falcon cockpit in this movie, it's dark, and I kind of liked it. I don't know why. It seems like they're on some kind of dark, murky adventure in each shot. And they're about to pop in a hyperspace here, and it looks like Han's in the back seat. So I want to know what's happening there.
The cockpit to me looks completely different than we've seen it before, and even like a little bit later on when we see some of the controls that we've really never seen before. I know he made some special modifications, but like. It looks completely different than what I was expecting.
Imagine his modifications are just he added the dice.
Yeah, he added the dice and then took out took out one like stick shift or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't say that I opened up the book back to that page, and it definitely does look different.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'll have to put these images on Twitter so you guys can check them out, but yeah, it definitely looks different.
Were those four levers always four? Like, do we know that?
That's the main thing that I'm looking at, is that it looks like there's one big button or one big lever for one side and one big lever for the other side. And I don't really, that looks like a mixer, you know?
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah. Lower levels. Yeah. We should. So we'll try to get images up on our Twitter account and on the editorial for the episode to see if we can play a little mix match in terms of the Falcon cockpit here. But you guys want to talk about this weird-looking club scene thing?
Well, I mean, it's every Star Wars movie kind of has. The new ones has kind of a new cantina scene, and it's a different variation on what we got before. On Rogue One, we had when they were kind of at Saw's place, and then Last Jedi, we had Canto Bight, and Force Awakens, we had Maz's castle. And I think this is just kind of the glitzy, glamour, gangstery kind of underworld that it's a different perspective of the underworld we've seen before, where we've gotten kind of the slimy kind of stuff, but we're actually seeing what I think is a gangster with some money, probably Paul Bettany's where he hangs out and where his castle or wherever he is.
This to me reminded me a lot of the Mask, like when he goes to the club,
the Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, it's glitz and glam, and the people that are there aren't necessarily involved in what's going on behind the scenes, but behind the scenes, there's like dirty bank robbers and stuff. And they're the people who actually own the club, and they treat their city fine, but you know what I mean? But they're like really evil
dirty
people.
Yeah, really, really dirty. And I really dug the singer too, like the gold kind of. And then you have the weird like floating head in the background, which, what is that?
Yeah, this was one of the sets.
You know what it looks like to me?
What?
It looks like she's got something over her mouth that when she says words or when she sings, it's actually
that
the alien that sings for her.
Dude, I could totally see that. That is awesome.
she could hit like different notes or something that is only capable of being performed by that alien species.
So that little frog in the formaldehyde is hitting the high notes or something.
Yep,
possibly.
Exactly. Yep.
Dude, I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what that is. This was the set that Howard tweeted or Instagrammed a couple things from, where someone said the image with Paul Bettany and him, someone said they could see Boba Fett in the background. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's the same room. I think the lighting is similar, but the other room had like Ewoks in it.
It's probably in the same building, but it's a different
Maybe
room.
in the same building, but a different room, I think.
Do me a favor and go back and look at that photo that he tweeted, because it has those circle things in the window.
Oh, that's fair.
So I'm not sure. And then
that looked like a museum, didn't it? Looked like they had things on display.
Maybe there was like different floors of this thing. Maybe this is the club floor.
Well, I agree. If it's the same building, that makes sense. I was just saying it didn't look like the same room.
And wasn't there a shot he tweeted out or something that was like an overhead of something like this, and it was like a fight breaking out or something going down.
Like that. Yeah.
But we see Clark's character here, and she's talking to somebody, and she looks like she's distracted by someone coming in. Maybe that's Han, the first time he sees her in a long time. We're not really sure, but she like I said, she has some kind of presence in this film, more so than she did at the beginning, and we'll find out what. But I'm kind of down with what's going on with the little Old West duel.
Yeah,
that happened next.
That's a very high noon standoff with Han. Han always shoots first, so I mean, it's what's going to happen.
Right.
Which, if we can talk about the villain and kind of the design of it, I'm not 100% sure. And in the article, you called it a Bosch bounty hunter. Am I saying that right?
No, Boosh is the name of the
Boosh. Okay.
What
is
Leia
the name of the
dressed
bounty
up
hunter that Leia dressed up as.
Gotcha. And I know you guys are probably going to make fun of me, but the close-up of this like main villain that we see, if you take away some of the little like the sharp edges and you leave just kind of like the eyepiece and all that stuff,
looks Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, and to me it looks a little Knights of Ren. And I know it's not going to be, it's not the Knights of Ren. I'm saying that up front. It is not the Knights of Ren, but I can definitely see the influences that the concept artists and all the artists over at Lucasfilm took inspiration from some old concepts from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi about the Knights of Ren.
You know what I saw here that made me think of a similar looking shot, and I know people pointed to that movie Silverado or whatever it was. I'm thinking Raiders of the Lost Ark, when
with the
that dude swinging the sword around and Indiana just takes out his gun and pops him and drops the guy.
There the parallels are there, because Han has a blaster and what does this guy have?
That's what I'm saying,
he has
dude.
A sword.
So I can totally picture a nod to Indiana Jones, and maybe this guy isn't our big baddie, and he just starts swinging that thing around, and Han unleashes his blaster and just blows this guy away.
You know how amazing that would be if that's what they went for? Because that's not only like a nod to...
Oh, yeah, it's a nod to Harrison Ford, and Larry Kasdan wrote both movies.
Exactly. So it's in the realm of possibility. Now, I think that it's true, fans of old school Lucasfilm, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, would lose their minds.
I would mark out, man, in the theater. I'm telling you, that happened, that I would bug out. But I don't know, maybe this guy is the big baddie, and that's not the case. I don't know. All right, now... When I wrote the article, I thought this was our big baddie in this shot with the red blast and the helmet that looks a little Vader-y. But then it was pointed out to us that it looks almost eerily identical to Lando's skiff attire from Return of the Jedi. So
from
now,
the back, I could see it.
So now, and you see like the grooves in the helmet that match exactly. So maybe that he had that attire back then. What do you guys think about that? Is that Lando there in that shot?
It's definitely eerily similar. But once again, we're getting views of it that are just like a millisecond of time, and the lighting's not great. So while I definitely could see it happening, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe if they wanted to throw it in there, that would be like a nice little nod. But I think the overall movie, hopefully it won't be full of these nods.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a pretty big one if he spent the majority of the movie, or not majority of the movie, but a big segment of the movie in this outfit. So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that it's not the same, and it just kind of like looks similar. And it's probably not even Lando. You know, it's probably a different character altogether. And we're just like, oh, it must be Lando because his outfit looks similar to one that Lando has worn in the past. So I'm not sure, but it's a good suggestion, and I can't really argue against it.
I couldn't unsee it once I saw it, but we'll find out soon enough. But what do you guys think about this U-wing thing that looks like Han's flying out of some massive disarray a little bit later in the clip here, and it looks like he's having a hard time flying this thing.
Well, I mean, he's the best pilot in the galaxy. So
he's the greatest galaxy in the pilot. Baby.
You know, that's let's put that on a T-shirt. Anyway, yeah, it looks like he's struggling really, really hard, but he's, like I said, best pilot in the galaxy. He's going to get through it. But to me, I think the thing that comes out of this sequence of not just him struggling is him talking to Kira.
Yep.
And she's saying, I might be the only person who knows what you really are. What's that? I think that moment, that look that Alden gives to her is really, really subtle, but that's the quintessential Han to me. And like he just has a smirk on his face and he's like, well, what's that? And then then you could definitely see like scoundrel. I like the sound of that. Something like that from Empire Strikes Back, but that was definitely like a standout, like, oh, he can do Han Solo. To me.
She calls him a scoundrel and the crowd just boos because it's 2 on the mark. But then, all right, so the title comes up, it says Solo, and then it's like, oh, the ending of the trailer's coming, and here is the biggest moment in the trailer because you have everybody on this crew in the Falcon cockpit, and we have a very Han moment where he says, get ready, and he kind of dings a TIE fighter with a twirl move, and he's like, yeah, we're all good, or whatever he says. He says, I thought we were in trouble there for a second, but it's fine. We're fine. We're fine. And that reminded me of Han dressed as a stormtrooper, like we're all fine.
Situation
here,
normal. How are you?
Yeah, in your article you wrote, it reminded you of the Return of the Jedi. It'll work.
That too.
It'll work. Yeah,
it'll work.
Yeah, but all day today, I was talking to other Star Wars fans, and they were all mentioning the hey, hi, everything's fine. How are you? Right, line.
Yeah.
Now, tell me if I could be wrong, and I know it's probably them just screaming. But at the end of the trailer, when like after he said that, did you guys hear them like Lando or somebody say, "We're not"? Is that what they were saying, or was it just like a script?
I think so. I think Lando says we're not.
We're not. Yeah. That, which is
they
really
all did in unison.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah, and then there's some like this beast. It's like it has
what is
sharp,
that?
Thorny tentacles.
I'm not sure what that is at all.
That's the Zillow beast.
Is it?
No, probably not.
I was thinking it made me think of the space slug immediately. The hand puppet in Empire Strikes Back that they flew inside.
Did it?
But
really?
It just because it's the Falcon and a giant beast trying to get it. Like that's the only reason. I'm not saying it is that. It just reminded me of that moment. But seeing all of them there, including Beckett, like I like that. That's one thing that it's missing from the sequel trilogy for me is having the whole crew together, and we didn't really get that in the sequel trilogy with our characters. So it would be cool if we get these people working together throughout the movie and building that camaraderie.
Yeah, but, like Rogue One.
Yeah, I guess so. Like Rogue One, I keep forgetting the tie to how it ties into Rogue One a little bit in terms of symmetry. But I mean that takes us out at the end of the trailer. You see the Falcon kind of flying into more mist. There's gonna be a lot of mist in this movie, I guess. I don't know. It's very dark and murky. But that's pretty much the end of the trailer. So do you guys have any final thoughts about what we saw here?
I want to tackle that music really quick because I do like everything leading up to when the Star Wars theme kicks in. That to me, I felt like I was like, okay, that's there to remind everybody that it's Star Wars. But I don't know, man. The Star Wars, the actual like main theme to me is connected to Star Wars, but it's not really something that I've ever really felt, I don't know, had a great place in specific points in the movie. I don't know. I'm kind of being weird about it, but I don't know, when that song actually hit the dun 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 dun, dun you know, I'm like, oh, I don't know. It took away everything that they were building, all that tension and that pressure. So I don't know.
Agree.
I'm not a big fan of how they let it in, but I do like how it doesn't just, they didn't just play a different song and then go Han Solo and go, the main theme. Like, there it is.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. That would have been way worse. So I like how they
at least they didn't use the Force theme
and kind of that too. So I do kind of like that. I'll say my overall just everything that we got from this is that it reminds me a lot of the Han Solo comic 5-issue run. There's a lot of really beautiful scenery and futuristic design. There's a lot of different styles of aliens, and having read that comic and knowing that it was, so far, as far as I'm aware, it's the only thing that George Lucas has completely put his stamp on and said, that's Han Solo. Like, they nailed it. Congratulations to the authors of this comic. They did it. And go, if you haven't yet, go read that comic and just fill in the vibe there, and then go rewatch these trailers and say, yep, even in the comic, he looks like a younger Han. It's not. It's like post A New Hope Han, but he looks young. He's wearing like jeans, basically.
Right.
in the comic. So
he's got his best Levi's on.
Yeah. So I think that's probably like the closest thing that I can come to as far as like new canon and where this all fits in. It just feels like it really lands into that vibe of a movie. And I don't think anything about this has really led me down the path of like disappointment. I was anticipated for this movie. I've been backing it the whole time, and I think that the trailer delivered. I'm really excited to see this movie, Star Wars or not.
All right, so I was a little down on all the Solo stuff before this trailer came out. I didn't necessarily think that it was going to be great, but I thought it would be good. And I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed everything that they showed me. We didn't get any Lando talking, but I think, you're not going to get a perfect imitation of Harrison Ford. You're just not going to get that. But if you can capture the essence of the character, which I think Alden has done so far, and what we've seen, I think that we're in for a real treat. And I think that given the trailer itself, I really dug the vibe. I really dug the music. I really kind of loved everything that we got in it, so I'm leaving this way more excited than I originally anticipated, which is weird for me, but it may be the most visually stunning Star Wars movie we could have ever. And given everything we've heard about Lawrence Kasdan and him writing it, and this is the best Star Wars script ever, I'm super excited for it, and I think that we're in for a real treat.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo a lot of your guys' sentiments. I don't know if it exceeded my expectations. I don't know what my expectations were. I didn't like the music in the trailer just because it didn't feel like Star Wars to me at all. I felt like I was watching, I don't know, a Blade Runner, or I don't even know what, some kind of Hans Zimmer action movie. But I don't think that's what we're going to hear in the movie itself. I think that was just trailer music. In terms of,
I hope it is what we hear in the movie.
I hope not.
Yeah, I liked it.
But in terms of the trailer itself, I liked it a lot. It's going to come down to Alden for me, like I've been saying, and I'm not completely sold on him yet. But I do need some more back and forth interactions. If I could see his mannerisms and his facial reactions, and I feel like, oh, that's Han Solo, then that's fine. Voice is voice. I don't need an impressionist. That's kind of like what you guys were saying. But those are my final thoughts. I dug it, and I know we're going to talk about it more, so we can dive into it more next week.
Well, the Solo stuff was clearly the biggest news of this week and last week, but there still was some other things that we want to cover really quickly. So, John, take it away.
How can I possibly follow up a trailer discussion with news bits? I don't know. I'll have to make this short, but never tell me the odds. Punch it. More Lego Han Solo minifigures have surfaced. I know, this is what you've been waiting for in this episode. Not the stuff we just talked about. You need Lego minifigure, not even images. You didn't need to hear me talking about them. I know the trailer's out, so who cares? Yeah. President Business cares. That's who cares, okay? Don't make me get the craggle. But toys are also a great resource for Star Wars information. So in the recent images, we see several versions of Han Solo, and yes, one of them does have a vest. We have a caped Lando Calrissian and Chewie with two bandoliers kind of crossing in an X over his chest, which was kind of interesting to see. We also see Han and Woody Harrelson's Beckett, both in what appear to be Imperial outfits. We have Emilia Clarke's Kira, characters Moloch and another Quay Tulsite, who is likely a part of the Pike Syndicate, we were introduced to in Season 5 of Clone Wars, and I imagine we'll see this character on Kessel at some point in the film. A few of the additional figures are a Mimban Stormtrooper, TIE Fighter Pilot, Imperial Navy Trooper, Imperial Patrol, and Imperial Officer. So there may be some Imperial presence in this movie, as we've gathered, and a character called Rebolt. Now that the trailer is out, the merch will be hitting store shelves very soon. Our last story, and our second and last story in the rundown, Carrie Fisher has won a posthumous Grammy for Best Spoken Word Album for The Princess Diarist. This is Fisher's first major award victory, and a great acknowledgement of her ability as a writer, which is often overlooked. And as we've all expected, she still leaves an impact even after she's gone, and that should come as no surprise to anybody, and we still miss you, Your Highnessness. For all Star Wars related news, reviews, editorials, and information, head to our website, starwarsnewsnet.com, and that is your Scoundrels Rundown for this week. Look who's back. It's Pat. It is time he went to go search for some tweets, so it's time to answer some listener questions. Let's see what Pat has for us this week. Chewie, get us out of here.
Damn it, did I miss those solo reactions?
Yep. You missed it, buddy.
All right, it's time to hop in and talk some tweets this week. We asked you guys out in the Twitterverse what you guys had for us. The first question comes from our buddy Trash Buddha at Gorilla Monk. He asked, Han's dice? If Leia had truly given up on Ben, then why did she leave the dice for him to find? John, what's your take on this one?
This can go so many ways. It can be deliberate that she left them knowing that they would disappear because they were fake, hoping that he would find them and kind of feel that loss in a sense, or a reminder what you did. This is why he's not here, because of you. Or Leia was just being like snarky, funny Leia and be like, well, those are fake. I'm just going to leave those on the ground. I think knowing Rian Johnson, there's more meaning to it, and knowing that they weren't real. And everything that has kind of happened with Kylo Ren and how we kind of look at that scene where everything's disappeared around him. He lost his mother. She finally gave up on him. The dice represent Han. He's gone. The father presence is gone. And Rey shutting the door. So everything that he looked to for that connection, and he killed his master Snoke, which was his plan, I guess, earlier on in the film before it even happened. But everything around this guy is vanishing in terms of any kind of connection. And I think that's a big part of it. Now, I do think it was deliberate by Leia as a reminder, like I said. And Gorilla Monk, Mr. Trash Buddha, you are always great with the questions and been a great supporter, so thank you very much, and catch up with you later.
And our next question comes from Jeigh Neither at Jeigh Neither on Twitter, and they asked, who are the glowing-eyed figures that are lurking in the shadows of Snoke's throne room on the Supremacy in The Last Jedi? James, take us on an adventure.
Well, I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but I like to think of myself as the Leland Chi of this podcast, the Holocron keeper. No, I'm just kidding. But I do have a visual dictionary open.
You're more of the
right
Leyland Chi.
Yeah, the Leyland Chi.
Leyland, it's the correct pronunciation.
It's French. No.
French.
The glowing-eyed figures that are lurking in the shadows of Snoke's throne room on the Supremacy are actually known as his attendants. They are covered in a dark purple robe, which actually is meant to be reminiscent of the original Imperial advisors from that hung around with the Emperor back in the...
from the ruling council.
The OG days, if you will. What these guys actually are, they are mute alien navigators who originated from the unknown regions, and they were actually the people who kind of found and blazed the trail on ancient hyperspace trails when the First Order that's kind of funny to say. The First Order first went into the unknown regions. If it weren't for these guys having blazed those trails, those hyperspace trails, they would have forever been lost. And this actually points out that they certainly would have perished. So you can actually thank these guys, or ancient versions of these guys, for being the people who kind of brought the First Order into a spot where they could actually continue to grow. Now, one more thing about them, they actually are the people who designed and operate the Oculus viewing scope in Snoke's throne room. So you can thank them for being able to see all the Resistance ships blowing up One more final thing that I thought was really cool about this is that the design of these characters went all the way back to The Force Awakens, and they were almost used, and then they just thought, nah, that's not exactly what we want. And then they almost used them again in Rogue One, and they thought, no, that's not exactly what we want. And then when The Last Jedi came in, they thought, these are the perfect characters to be attendants to Snoke.
I'm sorry, James. I laughed because you go all the way back, and I was like, oh, 1976.
Oh,
like
no,
The Force Awakens.
Yeah. All the way back to The Force Awakens. I mean, that is like, when you're thinking about like creation of a movie, though, it does go back quite a ways. And they said, hey, this was an original design we had, and they never used it, but it never goes unused because it shows up in books, it shows up in maybe future other things. Like there's even things all the way back, like John said, from early canon that they're using in Star Wars Rebels. So I don't know. I got nothing.
That's who they are.
I just really fell off right there.
That's who those folks are.
That's who those folks are, the attendants.
And you gotta think, there's also another character that's in the current canon who knows a little bit about hyperspace routes in the unknown regions. A man by the name of Thrawn. Ring a bell?
Oh, a man by the game of war. That doesn't even make sense. All right.
So maybe Thrawn down the line at some point will tie into these attendants, and we'll maybe see something with that down the line. We gotta wait and see. All right, we're going to move on to our next question, which comes from Sonny Pooni at SonnyP1986, and they asked if you can see one character on the big screen that hasn't been in any of the movies, who would you want to see? And he said he would pick Thrawn. Bill, what's your take on this one?
Well, I had a very vivid dream last week, and like I actually woke up and was like, that sucks that it wasn't real. That I actually like sat down and talked to Rian Johnson about like the Old Republic and just really, really deep canon lore. And like I was really disappointed. So I've got the Old Republic on the mind. So I'm going to take a little bit of a cop out though. But I know we've seen the Sith as the rule of two. We've seen Vader and Palpatine, and we've seen Palpatine and Dooku and Palpatine and Maul. But I guess mine isn't necessarily a character, but I would really like to see, and I know it's not necessarily a character, the Sith army in the Old Republic kind of like just being equals to the Jedi, where you have a big Jedi-Sith battle in the middle of a battlefield somewhere. I think that'd be really cool, and you could bring characters that aren't necessarily that have the same name, but are similar to Revan, Malak, Kreia, maybe even Bane or Malgus or any of these other characters that we've seen in the Old Republic. So that's kind of where my wish for a character, or I guess the Sith, would be. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick just one character, oh God, I guess I'll go with Kyle Katarn, just because I think he's so cool, such a cool character.
Is it the Briar Pistol that does it, or is it more of the character himself?
He's like Han Solo with a lightsaber. Like, so I mean, and I've also gotten kind of an Obi-Wan vibe to him. He's like a roguish Han Solo-ish Obi-Wan, and it's 100% just the beard. But yeah,
that character's name is Kanan Jarrus. I'm sorry,
different character. No. Anyway, Kyle Katarn.
Is there anything you would like to see them do with that character, like taking it in a new direction?
You know, I really do like his arc in all those video games. I love him as he started in the Empire, and then he became a Jedi, and then he became a Jedi Master, and became a really close confidant to Luke. So I would like to see him kind of like realize his powers, but maybe it takes place after this new trilogy. So, I would like to see him just kind of discover his powers as an adult like he did in the original game.
So maybe tie it into something like post-Battle of Jakku, like he finally realizes like where everything's kind of fallen apart, and now he can kind of emerge out of that as a new person.
Exactly.
That'd be a pretty damn cool arc.
Yeah, and like I said, there's 30 years to explore there. Yeah. So you could put a Kyle Katarn or Kyle Katarn-like character in before or after the new sequel, after the sequel trilogy. So I would love to see him.
And don't forget, on Monday's episode, we said there's that possibility Leland Shee said characters from Legends are coming back, so gotta wait and see.
Good point.
We'll see.
Good point.
All right, thank you guys for sending in your questions to us on Twitter. If we haven't gotten to your question, don't feel bad. We will eventually get to most of the questions you guys send us. And if you haven't sent us a question already, you can send those to us on our Twitter at RBATSWNN, at our email, resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. Or if you want, just poke John in the arm and say, "Hey, John, I got a question for you."
Well, yeah, I mean, turns out Pat was late to the show because he actually got locked in our question vault.
He did.
And we had to free him from the vault. So
it's very hard to get out of.
We do have a question vault where we keep all of our questions. Pat is the keeper of the questions, and he accidentally locked himself in the vault. So we were glad he came out and joined us for this round. So we're glad you made it out, Pat.
I'm like Jim Carrey in the mid-'90s in Batman. They call me the Riddler.
Okay.
That was a riddle in and of itself. All right, that brings us towards the end here. You can find our show in several formats. Be sure to find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube, and support the show by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and like our episodes on SoundCloud and YouTube. Head over to our store, tpublic.com/user/resistancebroadcast, and pick up some Resistance Broadcast apparel, from t-shirts to coffee mugs and more. I think they have cell phone cases, pillows, tapestries. They have a lot of stuff there, and it really is the best way to support the show right now. Don't forget, on Monday, our Kylo Ren Supreme Leader shirt is going to be gone. So just like Kylo Ren at the end of the upcoming episode 9, he's going to be no more. That's just my opinion. I'm literally right now drinking out of one of our Resistance Broadcast mugs in the triple solo form. Now, for all of your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, and information, go to our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com. And James, where can everybody find you on the internet?
Well, like I said, on Monday, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Meyer Trunks, but look for me on the YouTube, man. That's where we're at. We also do these videos, or we do these podcasts as videos, so that you can kind of get a visual, you can kind of follow along. If you kind of lose track of where we're at, you can pop back in and be like, oh, they're still talking about the Rebels thing. All right, gotcha. So if you see us there, subscribe, give us some comments, let us know how the feedback on the episodes are going, and have fun with it.
Yes, James does a good job there. The visuals are awesome, and it's really just a smooth, easy way to view our shows. And like he said, he'll comment on your questions on there too, and try to make us all not look too bad. Bill, where are you at, man?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Star Wars Bill. You can find me this weekend celebrating my 24th birthday.
Hey!
Gonna get weird. Yeah, absolutely. Gonna have
Happy
a lot
birthday,
of fun.
Bill.
I stopped counting after 21, so I mean it doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, me too.
So thank you guys so much for listening, and may the Force be with you.
Awesome, man. Happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you.
And Pat, where can everybody find you, bud?
You can find me editing 2 episodes a week and locked in the fan questions vault. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Ganon136, and also over on the Cantina forum under the same name. Love talking questions with you guys. Love getting the fan feedback. You guys have been awesome this whole past week, sending me a bunch of content, inviting me to come have open discussions with you guys. That's pretty damn awesome. So thank you guys. You guys are an awesome fan base. Can't wait to talk some more Star Wars.
Awesome, Pat. And I'm John. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing articles and editorials at StarWarsNewsNet.com. You can also find me at the Hasbro Toy Fair, coming up pretty soon in Manhattan, and I'll report back hopefully with some cool solo stuff. And thank you so much to all of you out there for supporting the show. Please keep spreading the word to your friends, family, butcher, guy, your local mechanic, whoever you know that likes Star Wars. Just tell them about our show and our website, because we really love talking with you, and as you're going to find out with the expanded universe segment that we have, we love talking about new fandom and what fans are doing. It really what separates Star Wars fandom from all the other fandoms out there. And remember, we're now going to be putting out 2 episodes every week. This wasn't a one-time deal. Are we crazy? Yeah, probably. But we'll be right back here with you in just 4 days, so be sure to keep yourself tuned in for our next transmission on Monday right here on the Resistance Broadcast.